Alright, so hopefully the audio on this turns out fairly okay. I haven't really done a full vlog here at highway speeds, but kind of got something I want to talk about, so I decided I'd throw the camera on. It normally always runs, but normally don't have much to say. So anyways, today I have a little bit to talk about. I don't know what I'll call this video, maybe something like catchy, like sink or swim, something like that. It's a little ironic because I can't swim, but anyways, kind of what I want to talk about is maybe there can be some discussion here in the comments, but I'd like to know what are some things when you were a new rider that was something that helped you swim instead of sink. Did you rely on others around you that ride already, or did you self-teach using videos online and Facebook groups and different things like that? I'm going to talk a little bit about how I learned how to ride, and some of how that impacts about how I teach new people to ride. It's kind of on my mind. So one of my best friends, he randomly decided he wanted a bike. I don't know that it was necessarily timing is right, but he wants it, and if he's gonna do it, I've got the experience, and he's the closest thing he's got to getting a first-hand instruction and guidance throughout his time as he begins to be a motorcycle rider. But anyways, I was all self-taught. I had a scooter whenever I was, I don't know, 17, and I decided it was time to move up to a little bigger scooter, and then it was time to get something with a clutch. And well, I mean, I leaned into it. I picked up the bike and got dropped off, and then I just rode it home. I didn't pick it up with a truck or anything like that. I just was like, well, I should be able to figure it out. I know how to drive stick. It's not that difficult, and it really wasn't. Of course, my first real bike was a CBR 250R. Not a very high horsepower bike. Really got to wring it out to get up to higher speeds, especially. But anyways, it everything up to that point, I was completely self-taught. I had to teach myself how to work the clutch. Any mistake I ever made, most of the time I didn't get the chance to hear about it before I made it. So like I vividly remember in my mind whenever I was leaving the college there, and then I downshifted 2 gears instead of 1, and I think I found probably at that speed in that area, probably first gear is what I found, not second. But anyways, I downshifted 1 too many gears at least, and that feeling, that pucker moment when you slide the rear tire around a lot when you first started riding, it's something that you always remember. And kind of where I'm going with this is it's led me to a lot of different things that I try to cover now whenever I teach somebody to ride, because I know in that moment, you know, I was able to fix and correct, and I was okay. But if you don't hear about it ahead of time and you mess up and then you just have a bad day because you end up crashing, I mean, I don't want anybody to start riding and end up crashing because they just didn't hear about a situation, and they're like, well, why didn't anybody tell me about how this was going to happen? Like, I, for one, I watched a lot of YouTube. It's a great resource. There's a lot of not so good information on there too. It's like anything online, you've got to sort through the crap and figure out what's actually real. But those are the kind of things that I have in my mind, and I always give people tips, and I try not to overload people on information, but I try to make sure they hear something at least once, because not everybody is like me, who devours all that information up while doing physics homework and watching the YouTubes the whole time. But that's how I learned. I had a lot of YouTube running in the background while I was doing my homework in college. But the main thing is I try to make sure somebody hears at least something once, especially if it's something that I feel like it's a moment that can, if it goes wrong the right way, well, the wrong way, I want them to have some inkling of an idea. And there's definitely a lot of situations I try to have people do, kind of like little drills, so that they get the chance to experience that. Because if you don't, and you're just like, oh, I'm just riding around town, I'm fine, but then you don't know how to interact with traffic or oncoming traffic, people behind you. If you don't know how to interact with that kind of stuff, that's the kind of stuff that can get you hurt. It's not necessarily if you're in control of your own bike, but are you in control when they're not in control, or they think you've got it figured out way more than you do yet. You shouldn't have to stick to slow speed side roads forever. You should be able to advance and just run like a normal person in traffic and be able to just experience, being on the road. But that can be scary for a lot of people. Some people just jump right in, that's okay too. But a lot of times new riders have a tendency, especially, to be overconfident. In my experience, and I push it hard and try not to sound like their mom, but gear, they're like, oh, I'm only running here, or I'm running over there, and it's like, well, if you had more experience, you could maybe say, okay, maybe not today, I won't wear this or that. But the less experience you have, the more you should be throwing on your gear. That's all I've got to say about that, especially a helmet. Just even when you think you're only doing something slow, it only takes one moment of a new situation and you're not able to handle it. But anyways, that's kind of what I've been thinking about today, I guess. I'd like to hear some comments, like I said, or messages to me. Just kind of tell me your story a little bit. How did you learn how to ride? And what helped you keep it up, keep the riding as a thing in your life, rather than like so many people, they'll get a bike and then never ride it, or they'll get it and then just get rid of it pretty quickly. If you're watching this and that's you, feel free to also tell me why did that happen, and what do you think could have been done differently to maybe help you with confidence and get you to a level where you can go out and improve yourself. A lot of riding is practice, and practicing is something that it's just something you got to do. You got to go out and you got to ride. You're not going to get better not riding. So by just letting the bike sit, not staying consistent, or at least finding certain times to make time to get on it a little bit, you're not going to be able to build up any sort of skill level, and you might remain pretty unconfident and scared on the road, and that's not a good place, a good feeling to be on a motorcycle. But I understand that is a reality, and hopefully is just a reality for a certain amount of time, and you're able to work through that. Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I'll probably just cut it off here. At this point, I'm sure I'm rambling a little bit. You're probably tired of watching just a two-lane highway scenery, so I'll end it here. Thanks for watching, guys.